Just waiting. Hi, Jam.
Hello, good morning, everybody.
Good morning, everybody. It's Brian and Jam for the Disability Digest Live event today. Thanks for joining. Look forward to spending some time with everybody. We're going to talk about some benefit changes, some extra help, some areas where people are living dangerously today. And then at the end, we're going to take some questions. So my intent is to give you some ideas, strategies to help you maximize your disability benefits. And Jam has put up in the chat a survey that we would be grateful for you to take some time to complete for us. Right? Okay, we ready to get started?
Yep.
Good.
Ready when you are.
If you're new here, welcome. Glad to have you. Encourage you to subscribe, ring the bell so you get upcoming notifications for live events and videos. We do this pretty much weekly, although next week we will not, because it's on the eve of Thanksgiving and I've got stuff going on. So let's get going. Okay, get my agenda up. First of all, I want to give a shout out to BJ, last week's winner of Name That Tune. He nailed it. I hope you received, if he's in the crowd today, the gift certificate that we sent you. She. Yeah. Pet Shop Boys. That was very cool. I didn't think anybody would get that, but actually this week we have another Name That Tune event. Degree of difficulty is slightly higher, but I'm still in hopes that somebody wins the event. So first thing is, I want to cover two categories where people are living dangerously. And the first one is for those that are not approved. And then the second category is for those that are approved. These are two areas, what I mean by living dangerously, where people could make some simple adjustments, in my opinion, and save themselves from like life-altering experiences of not having income when they need it, incurring major medical expenses when they don't need to. Two of the biggest problems that we have. So to start off our event, we're going to play Name That Tune again. I love this. So here we go. I'm going to play a snippet of a song, and if you know the artist, just put it in the chat. We're looking for the artist that sings this song, and it does have a theme consistent with what I'm going to cover today. So here we go.
You're living dangerously. Woman, you're living too dangerous for me. You're living dangerously. Is it me you're renting?
No, guys.
You're living dangerously. You're living too dangerous.
All right. Let's see who can get that one. Okay. Jim, I'm sure you will monitor the results.
Yep.
Now, I don't know how many of you are approved, not approved, or that, but I'm going to speak, presuming that most of you typically are here that are approved, and this doesn't apply directly to you, but maybe you can make a difference in somebody's life. I've been doing this work for 17 years, and the biggest challenge that people have when they come to us to get approved for disability is the approval times are long. If you get approved at the initial stage, you're usually paid in like 9 months. If you don't get approved there, it could go out to 3 years. And I expect some of you have lived this. If you do not have disability income protection or are sitting on a big fat stack of cash, you don't have money or resources when you're out of work. And it makes it really difficult to keep your house, keep your car, puts a lot of friction on relationships. And it doesn't have to be that way. There's disability income protection that's called short-term disability or long-term disability. And if you're working now or know somebody that's working, like friend or family member, you should ask them and say, listen, do you have this coverage? Because they could contact their work and get it. If they don't have it from work or they don't have enough of it, they could contact us. I'll put this link in the chat and also below the replay here. And they can come through, they can learn more about it. They can follow the tool and get an online quote, and they can get insurance. So if somebody's making like $50,000 a year and they're in their 40s, they could, for $100 a month, about have insurance that would pay them 60% of their income. And when they have to stop working. So most people think, you know what? I don't need it. It's not going to happen to me. But don't have to speak long to those of you that are out there that have experienced this. So that's the first message that I have for people and where they live dangerously. They don't know about it. They don't have it. Okay. So short-term, long-term disability insurance. That's number one. Two is once you're approved for disability, you're Medicare eligible after you've received the equivalent of 24 months of payment. People entering into their Medicare coverage, it's massively confusing, and there's a lot of variables. And sometimes people don't make the right decision and they're not properly covered, and it creates some areas of vulnerability. And the common ones I'm going to cover. So Jim, do we have any indication if there's people out there that have declined their Part B?
No,
No? Okay,
not yet.
not yet. All right. So the basics of Medicare are you have Part A, which is free, and Part B has a premium. And I'm going to cover a few things about Part B for those that don't take it, why you shouldn't take it in instances where you should decline it. Maybe you've accepted it and you don't need it. Maybe you're paying for it and you don't need to. So those are the things that I'm going over. If you're paying for Medicare Part B, the Part B premium this year, it's $170.10. Next year, it's going to be $164.10. And so up here on the screen, I'll put this link below the video as well when we're done, covers the premiums. So what we find is oftentimes people are paying for this and they don't need to pay for it, right? Or the other instance says they decline it and they shouldn't decline it. So I'm going to talk about the declining it and when you shouldn't decline it first. Medicare Part B covers some of the things that are up on the screen here from Medicare.gov, covers research, ambulance, durable medical, inpatient, outpatient, partial hospitalization, basically your doctor's care. So if somebody has declined it and they don't have it, thinking that they won't need it, and they have a car accident or they have cancer or they get COVID, any of those type things, they're subject to not being able to get coverage. And so that's one of the big challenges where you're exposed and you can't pay for treatment at all. Now, the second worst is you just have Medicare A and Medicare B. And with Medicare A and B, you're subject to the 20% copay that you have, and there's no cap on it. So if you just have A and B, and you're like Doris, who had a diabetic heart attack and racked up an $84,000 bill, that she's on the hook for 20%, and she can't go back to that hospital until it's paid for, and she lives in a small town, it's tough, man. So those are some of the things that if you fall into these areas where you have just A and B and no other, Medigap or no other Medicare Advantage, you're vulnerable. If you've declined Part B and you have no other credible coverage, which is what I'm going to go over next, there was a problem. So here's situations where you could, perhaps should decline Medicare Part B. You get approved for disability and you become Medicare eligible, and your spouse has you on his or her insurance. So common situation is the spouse pays a family rate, regardless if you're on it, kids are on it, it's a family rate. So it doesn't matter whether you're on it or not. So if you're on it, that means that you have credible coverage and you can decline Medicare Part B. And you just contact Medicare, and then they will decline. There's no penalty. Then if there becomes a time when your spouse is not working, maybe they retire and you need to get that back, then you can re-enroll with no penalty. But if you decline it, Part B, and you do not have credible coverage, then you're subject to a penalty of 20% annually, right? So these are some of the variables that you can think of. So here at the Disability Digest, we've done information at the beginning of open enrollment for Medicare in early October that will help you go through all of these different variables. You can learn it by listening to our live events replays, or you can contact us for a benefit review if you're a member. You'll learn more about that at the end. All right. So here is a true story that I thought was fascinating about a Medicare Part B member here who shared this with us. Maybe it was on our YouTube channel. But I'm going to go through and read the highlights. Here's what happened. This was from Sherry. And Sherry, if you're out there, thank you. Shout out for this. So Sherry declined her Part D and her Part B. So she just had Part A, no other coverage, right? Then it came time when she actually needed some medication coverage and she needed some B coverage, and there were penalties to get back involved in it. So check this out. What happened was Sherry qualified for Medicaid. And if you qualify for Medicaid, then your Part B would be paid for by the state. I'm going to put up on the screen here for those of you that are out there. This is a form that will also be in the show notes that goes through the criteria to get your Part B paid for. And it's filling out this form and sending it in to Social Security. But down here, it has the income criteria on it that I'm scrolling down to. It's down here somewhere. Maybe I've gone by it. But generally, if your check is $1,500 a month or less, and that's your income, then you likely qualify to have your Medicare Part B premium paid for by the state. Folks, I'm good at doing one thing at a time, but scrolling and talking is two, and I'm not finding what I'm looking for, but I know it's on here, and I'll include this in the show notes. So if you are out there and you're listening to this and you're like, oh my gosh, my check is below $1,500, and or as a couple, if you're married, $2,500, and I don't have a 401k, I don't have a large amount of investments, I might qualify. That one move right there could eliminate your Part B premium and get you into a situation where you can increase your cash flow. And it could be that you qualify for other levels of Medicaid, which could provide you access to drug coverage, could provide you access to special plans through Medicare. Okay, my last point, and for those of you that are just joining us, thank you, welcome. The last point I want to make is on Part B, is that there's Part B buybacks that are commonly advertised. And if you do need to pay for Part B, then you can look at your strategy for Medicare and you can say, well, maybe getting into a plan where they reduce my Part B premium by $50 or $100 or $125 a month would make sense to me. And it's commonly a good fit for somebody that is not doctoring a lot. They don't need to go see a lot of doctors. They don't have a lot of meds. And so the benefits of that part of the plan are then shifted to providing you with a cash enticement to get into the plan. And even in Vermont now, they have a Part B buyback, and we're a very rural state. So that could be an option for you to reduce that. If you're seeing a lot of doctors, have a lot of meds, in my opinion, you have to give strong consideration to putting the focus into that part of your plan. So if you're listening to all this and saying, oh, well, maybe I missed it, it's too late to make a change this year, here's the deal. Medicare open enrollment, you can make a change up until December 7th. But for most of you here at the Disability Digest, there's several different times of the year that you can make a move. And here's some of them. Between January 1st and March 31st is what's called the Medicare Advantage open enrollment, which means that you can make the same change from a Medicare Advantage plan, one plan, to another during that enrollment period. It's actually, in a lot of ways, better to pursue it then because the companies aren't as busy. You get better service. So this is if you're managing your own process, but you can move then. If you are a Medicaid recipient, or if you have a condition that entitles you to a special needs plan, like if you're a diabetic or if you've had a stroke, excuse me, conditions like that, you can move into those plans any time of year. So don't be concerned thinking I missed the boat, right? All right. So Jim, any feedback on the survey yet?
Yes, the pin question, Chrissy O'Hagan, declined, and also John H. declined Part B because he is covered under his wife's employer.
All right. And Christy, is she, I believe
Chrissy.
we worked with Chrissy, yes.
Yeah, hi, Chrissy.
Hi, Chrissy. Okay, so two good examples of declining that I would say are sound decisions. All right. A few other things I want to show you, and then we're going to get on to taking some questions that are out there. And this is like some of the new benefits that we have seen this year. I'm going to pull these over on the screen. This plan right here is from United Healthcare, and these types of plans exist with other companies. I'm just using United Healthcare as an example. And it's called a D-SNP. And this is somebody that is eligible for Medicare and Medicaid. They would have access to a plan like this. The key things that we're seeing is the financial relief that these plans are providing. This here has a food benefit where an individual receives $130 credit every month to pay for covered groceries and OTC products, certain utility bills. So this is huge, and it's new. We're just seeing it, in the market in different places, but it makes a big difference. And the groceries that are covered are, the staples, the bread, eggs, milk, that type of stuff, orange juice. It doesn't allow you to buy beer and cigarettes. It's for groceries. And so this plan, again, is for somebody that is Medicare, Medicaid eligible. The same type of benefit we are seeing for individuals that have conditions. Like this plan is for diabetics. And this plan is out west, but it has similar benefit to it, $150 a month right here for groceries. So one of the reasons why I encourage people to take a look at what their options are if you are dual eligible or if you have conditions is you can pick up a benefit like this and take the edge off of what's going on with inflation. So those are my points to survive out there that I've shared with you. Did we have any winners for the Name That Tune, Jam?
Yes. Winner is Dust.
Really?
Yeah.
I am.
DUST.
All right. So we have to get some contact information to send our Amazon gift card over for winning. I'm impressed. I'm going to have to up my game and find tunes that are more difficult. No, this is fun. Okay, so I want to take some questions now in the time that we have left. So let's get into it.
All right. So 1 second. Okay. So this is from Louis. Oh, not actually a question. Okay, let's start with Liz. I am 100% disabled vet, but I understand that there is no guarantee that means my SSDI will be approved. Question mark.
Right. That's right. Yeah, it's a bit deceiving. The 100% expedite that they have, or expedite for those that are rated 100%, does not mean that there's a 100% chance that you'll get approved. It's just that they will expedite your decision.
Right.
I've recently released on Veterans Day, you can go back and look on our YouTube channel. If you haven't seen that video, it does a real deep dive into some of the key criteria to maximize your chances of getting approved.
Mm-hmm. All right, this one's from Gary Newman. What kind of jobs can a person get and keep disability?
Any, really. Yeah, I mean, well, I shouldn't say any. I mean, you're not going to get a job as a construction worker or, a jackhammer, but the key is to find something that you can do. And within that scope, there really isn't any limitations. And I don't know if anybody was here last week for the show, but that was quite fun. We've had different members on recently within the last 6 months, interviewing them about what they are doing to supplement their income. And last week's event was about mystery shopping. And we've had other members on here about building a website, building a YouTube channel, working at centers for independent living, getting traditional jobs where you can work at home, taking in inbound calls. So that's available on this channel, or if you register as a member, we guide you right to it.
Yeah, May is here, Brian.
Awesome.
Hi, May.
Hey, May.
Right. So this one's from Timothy. Is the Social Security website a good way of tracking your application status?
Yes, excellent way. Yep.
Mm-hmm. All right, from Vince, based on my letter from SSD, I will not be eligible from Medicare until July 2023. Will SSD contact me with my options before July 2023?
They don't contact you with your options, if you mean your plan options. They simply send you your cards. You're on your own to figure that out. And you can, we help you with that. You can do it here by reviewing the information that we have, or you can request a free benefit review. And Jim can put a link in the chat where we'll go through and take a look at your situation, your doctors, your meds, your needs, and what you qualify for, and show you some options.
All right. This one's from May, Sherlock Shopper. Is it true that if someone actively participates in the Ticket to Work program, they are not subject to a review?
I have not heard that. I know people that have been reviewed and received overpayment. So.
All right. All right. Bobby Bow. Oh, this is just an advice. Give me 1 sec. Right, from Dog. Got totally approved in 45 days. Had all my doctor's notes from 1975 when had accident to 2017. My mom ran an insurance office in Toccoa, Georgia. Knew how to get all the records. Lucky. Congrats.
75 days. That's impressive.
45.
45 days, even better.
Yeah. This one's from Julie Han. I have been approved. Don't know how long. I have a review coming up in 2 to 3 years. I see my trauma therapist weekly. I stopped seeing my psychiatrist when he no longer took my insurance January 2020. Follow
Okay.
up, couldn't find a new one due to COVID. There is still none in area taking new patients. Is therapy enough?
You have to do the best you can do to satisfy the criteria for keeping your benefits, but documenting your attempts to get treatment would be helpful for sure. But keep that up consistently. You just want to address any potential questions or situations where Social Security can say, well, you know, if you were in treatment for that condition, you would be able to work.
Right. This one's from Diva Liz. Disability informed me my benefits will drop by 177. What should I do?
I'd like to hear that question again, Jim.
Okay, disability informed her benefits will drop by, I think this is dollar amounts 177. What should I do?
I don't know. Social Security disability check amounts don't decrease. If you're on SSI, which is welfare, social insurance, then your benefits would be decreasing because of other assets that they found. And you could ask them to do a reevaluation. One, you could ask them to help you understand what is it that is driving your check down. I bet that would be helpful to know so you can do something about it. The other thing to
There's
do
a
is look
follow-up
the
on
other
that,
way.
Brian.
Pardon me?
There's a follow-up on that. It's because of Medicare.
If it's because of Medicare, that would mean that you're a Social Security. Oh, I see what's happening. Okay. This is what it is. You're a disability recipient, and it sounds to me like you just became Medicare eligible. And when you become Medicare eligible, your Medicare Part B premium is taken out of your check. So earlier in this program, we just went through different ways to reduce or eliminate that. And what you can do is you could request a benefit review if you're a member, and we can go through and review and see if the state will pay for it, if there's other ways in which you can get it reduced or eliminated. Okay.
All right. Okay. All right, this one's from Michael. Approximately how long is reconsideration phase taking in Michigan?
Don't know. I would, the best in any state, it's difficult to predict what it would be, because here's a potential variable. Let's say they say 5 months, right? And usually a good gauge would be if everything went smoothly with your initial and there wasn't any missing information and you got a decision in 5 months, then you could use 5 months for your reconsideration. But what if they're requesting information from one of your doctors in the reconsideration phase and they're having a hard time getting it? And that request for information is being pursued for, another 4 or 5 weeks. It's going to change things. So it's difficult to say you're going to receive a decision, boom. Here's my tips for you though. Make sure you follow the process in your online account and stay in touch with your caseworker to find out if all the information that is needed is being collected, or if you're using a disability representative, attorney, non-attorney. That's really their job. If they're like a true disability representative and not just an order taker, that they should be following up and finding that out.
All right, this one's from Dog Heaton. Had a major emergency surgery in January, had to get a lift recliner. How do I get reimbursed for lift portion?
I don't know what you're on for insurance. It's probably durable goods or what. It's tough for me to answer that. I would contact your insurance provider and find out. Yeah. You had to pay for it out of pocket, it sounds like, and you didn't have any insurance?
Hmm.
All right, let's move on to the next one. I don't have an answer for that one. I need more information.
Yeah. Okay. This one's from Danette Gonzalez. I haven't been to a doctor in 3 years, and I got a letter saying I will be under review. Will I be getting off? Sorry. Will I be getting cut off?
Boy, if you haven't been to the doctor in 3 years, the premise of a review is to see if you've been in treatment, really. And if you've been in treatment, if your conditions are still severe enough to prevent you from working. So I'm going to be straight with you. That does not sound good. Just do the best you can. We have a course here, if you're a member, at the Disability Digest to help you fill out the forms. But if you haven't been in treatment, that's what they're looking for.
All right, this one's from Brenda, just sharing. My doctors are poor about charting their medical records.
All right. And it's not uncommon that they are, the records are not consistent. In tips that we have, you can learn more about from us, is that what to do in each and every visit to communicate to your doctors, like bring in your limitations, make sure that they're put into your medical records, review them the next time when you come back, see if there's been any changes, doctor's treating you, here's my limitations, I want to feel better. It helps with that. And it also helps Social Security when they come through and they look at the medical records. They'll see your limitations, can't sit, can't stand, or bend, or stoop, or if they're, brain related, mental health, you're triggered by noises or being around people or in large crowds, things like that.
This one's from Elizabeth. Can you have Part B and spousal coverage, and they count as second insurance?
Yes, you can. Yep. And some do, because for a variety of reasons, they get additional benefits that they can pick up that there's not covered by their spouse's insurance.
All right, from Win Walker, has anyone gotten the New Year's Advantage Plans book?
Good question. I wouldn't know that. So if anybody else has received it, usually they don't come out until like January. I mean, if you are enrolling in a plan for January, those usually arrive in December, Christmas holiday time.
So it's from Windy Loom. My husband's primary says it is not his responsibility to support the disability and do paperwork, and the specialists say it is the primary doctor's responsibility.
Yeah.
So
That's called passing the buck. It's tough to get around that if they dig their heels in. The options are change doctors, which most people are reluctant to do. 2, follow the tips that I just gave you a heads up on that are in our disability approval course about what to do if you cannot get doctor support, which is how to journal your conditions, how to condense your limitations, how to report them, get them in your medical records, review your medical records, and what to look at. That's the strategy.
This one's from Danette Gonzalez. I moved to a different state and couldn't find a doctor taking new patients nor Medicaid. So what do I do?
Approved or not approved, that would make a difference. it's not approved, then it's tough. Medicaid is really limited in your pool of doctors. So I just have to say, if Medicaid is your only source, you have to keep looking. If you're approved for disability and you're Medicare eligible, one of the advantages of getting a Medicare Advantage plan on top of your Medicaid is you can still see your Medicaid doctors, but you have access to this much larger pool of doctors and specialists, and usually at no charge or very low charge.
This was from Katie. My doctor, who is actually a PA, told me it was illegal for him to put my limitations in my chart because then he would be helping me with disability. Such BS.
Yeah, that's not true. Yeah, so if something like that happens, then you should ask them to show you and cite the regulations. And here's why I say that is because part of the approval process for disability is, and we do this and others in this profession, is we ask that the member, the client, bring a report to, and I'm doing two things at once again, that's why I'm not talking, but I want to show you guys this. To bring in a residual functional capacity report into your doctors to have them fill it out. So, and this is the same thing if somebody is on disability. To get approved, they would be subject to this as well. I'm not finding it real quickly here, so I'm going to skip that. So that's 100% hogwash, because in that residual functional capacity report, the doctor fills it out and it gives them their opinion on your limitations, sitting, standing, bending, stooping, all of that. So don't be deterred. Good question. I've got to get better at doing two things at once.
Good for you, Brian.
What's next, Jim?
Okay. This one from Renee. I'm afraid because of medical issues, surgery, a second time that I will have to retire from my job early and I won't know until Monday 21st. Still trying to pay bills. It's a struggle.
All
No
right,
question there.
just a statement.
Mhm.
Yeah, my advice is make sure that you do what you need to do right now and seeing your doctors, reporting your limitations, getting everything done and tight like we teach you to do here, so that when and if you do need to go through the approval process, you've got your medical evidence lined up, right?
Mhm. This one's from Dana. Also the statement. Hi Dana, I know her also. I now have Aetna Elite PPO, no cost, extra premium, most scripts free but high 40 copays. Not sure if there are extra benefits.
Is there a statement?
Yeah, statement.
Yeah. Wouldn't know if there's extra benefits until we did a deep dive into comparing other options in your area and lining it up with your doctors and your meds and all that.
Yeah, I know her. I spoke with her.
Right.
All right. So Danette Gonzalez, how does a review work?
Like a continuing disability review?
I think so.
All right. I'll give you the short story. We have on our YouTube channel, we've released 4 of 10 segments of a comprehensive how to survive your continuing disability review course. All 10 of the courses and legal support is available to our members that are in our benefit protection program. They certainly get it, and others that request it. But how it works is the first thing is you'll be on your award letter, you'll be given an estimated time frame when you'll receive one. And then you'll be mailed information, either a short form or a long form to fill out. You fill that out, ideally with the directions that we provide you so you don't mess it up. And then you send it into Social Security and hopefully you don't hear from them. But if you do, then it's likely that you're either going to have to go to an exam, they're going to request more information, or they flat out deny you and they'll give you like 30, maybe 60 days of continued benefits. You can either keep your check on or you can turn your check off while you appeal it. So those are very kind of the general highlights of the appeal process. About 20% of disability recipients annually are getting reviewed, and there is, in the recent report I read, 144,000 people that are losing their benefits annually. And some of those are because of straight up, they report as CDRs, but others they're classifying it as don't meet the qualifications anymore. And the only way they would know that really is if they did a review, because I don't think people are calling up and saying, you know what, I don't qualify for disability anymore. Can you stop my check? I don't think that's happening. So.
This one's from Joe. So what about dual eligibility and how does the COLA increase factor into that?
COLA is the same thing. The only challenge with the COLA that some people are asking about is if your check gets bumped up, it might and will push some people out of the eligibility range. But let's say your check is $1,200 a month, right? And you get a COLA, then you're going to be fine. What was the second part of the question?
How does the COLA increase factor into the dual eligibility?
Yeah, so it's just going to increase your check, hopefully not bounce you off of Medicaid.
So it's from Malaya, 130 even for Medicaid.
What's that? 130? She mean the $130 in like shopping credits for food and that?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so I showed you two options. One was for somebody who had a condition-specific plan, and the other one was for somebody that was dual eligible. One was 130 and the other was 150.
All right, this one's from Claire. I spoke with Medicare and Medicaid about signing me up for the savings program, and they were worried I would lose benefits, so they didn't sign me up for this. Can you explain this if you understand?
What benefits would you lose?
I think pertaining to her disability benefits.
Yeah, I mean, that's why it's there. It's for people that are eligible and have financial, call it restrictions. You have fixed income that's below a certain threshold. It doesn't make sense to me why you had been advised that based on the information that you shared with me. So if you remember to us, reach out, request a review and we can go through and take a look at it.
Right. Okay, Richard, I have United Healthcare dual plan. So you're allowed to have $1,500 for extra help to pay for your premium, correct?
You're allowed to have $1,500 in extra help to pay for your premium. That doesn't make sense to me. If your check amount, if your income is below the general, I'm using this as a general guideline, $1,500 a month, then you could likely, put it this way, have the state pay for your Medicare Part B premium. That's called the Extra Help Program. If I didn't answer your question, then just rephrase your question or provide a little more detail so we can zero in on it.
All right, this one's from Claire. I have Medicare A, B, and D, and Medicaid with DSHS. Just sharing, I think.
Medicare A, B, and D with Medicaid. if you're paying for your Part D prescription drug program, I expect that you could eliminate that cost. Yeah, and you could eliminate that cost by getting a Medicare Advantage plan, Part C plan, which would be additional benefits to your Medicaid, but include a Part D prescription coverage. So you would not need that.
Mhm. All right, this one's from Demarius. I have systemic lupus and severe rheumatoid arthritis. Should I apply for the food program you mentioned?
I didn't hear any conditions in there that would trigger a CSNP. Did you, Jim?
Yeah.
Perhaps on the income side, I mean, if your check amount is below 1,500 or 2,500 as a couple, as a married couple, then yeah, you should definitely check it out.
Yeah, I spoke with her, I think, about, as I recall.
Mm-hmm. All right. Jim, you're doing great today. Everybody, shout out to Jim.
I try.
could not do this without you. All right. I'd be trying to do
Thank
2
you,
or 3
Brian.
things at once. I'd be screwing it up. You're saving me.
All right, this one's from Marvin. Is it only 100% vet or 90% isn't expedited?
100%.
Okay. Diva Liz, I'm receiving 1661 in disability benefits and I am barely making it. Can I go on SSI?
That's like over the limit. You can apply, it doesn't cost you anything, but I am typically the threshold, you're over it. Yeah. I'd look for other ways. There may be other ways. Maybe you're paying for things that you don't need to. Maybe you're paying for your cell phone. You don't need to do that. Maybe there's programs where you can get your Part B premium reduced, or maybe you can become a mystery shopper with May that's in the house and start making some money.
All right, this one's from Dana Anderson. Can you do delivery driver service?
Yeah. You folks, it's not the type of work really that is going to, that you're prohibited from doing. There's 2 criterias that Social Security looks at, is the number of hours. It should keep it under 20 hours a week, and the amount of money that you make. And for this year, 2020, yeah, it's $970 a month. Next year it goes up. So if you keep it below $970 a month, you can do that every month. 0 impact on your benefits. You could drive Uber, you could mystery shop, you could have a job for Centers for Independent Living, you could take inbound calls for AAA road service, all these different things that we have shown you how to do here.
All right, this one's from Richard. What will happen if Congress cuts Social Security? What will happen to us?
Depends on what the cut is. Yeah, it's a lot of talk about it. I mean, I've been doing this for a while and this is always seems to be a topic, but I just encourage you to think about it this way. Who's going to be able to get elected on a platform that says that they're going to cut or reduce Social Security? It's just not very attractive. So what we've seen happen is the program has pretty much stayed the same, which has caused a lot of the challenges that are out there. It's understaffed, and the criteria to get approved has become, in my opinion, more difficult for an applicant, easier for us because we see the different patterns all the time, but not so much for the applicant first time going through it. And then if you're a recipient, the number of disability reviews has continued to increase in the money that they've invested in that. So those are all of the things to be aware of that, we're in hopes that the work that we do out here helps you understand what you need to do to just take care of your own situation and get the most out of your benefits.
Mhm. This one's from Louis Meir. If you work part-time, do you have to be in the Ticket to Work program?
No, no. No, and most that I have met, that I'd say most is in the 95%. I know very few people in the Ticket to Work program, put it that way. Most people are doing something on their own, right?
All right, this one's from Brenda Snyder. Is it pretty normal for SSD to send a questionnaire to your spouse?
I wouldn't call it normal, but it's part of their process, like third-party questionnaire. Yeah, it's not uncommon.
All right, this one's from Savvy. I can't do any of the work from home options because in the state of Florida, to be self-employed, you need permission from your landlord. Without that, you cannot work from home.
Really? That's a bummer.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Huh.
didn't know that as well.
Right.
All right, so this one's from Dana. Follow-up question. Show you update SSA of new diagnosis or wait for reviews?
I'm sorry, I'm distracted. I know I'm going through my mental Rolodex. I know a lot of people that work from home in Florida, and I have not heard of this before. I don't know if it's just maybe they're doing it and they're just not telling people, but I'm just saying here, we actually have people that work here and have worked here in the past that are from Florida. So I'd do a double take on that and see, just make sure you check the rule. Sorry, Jim, we go back to the question.
Show you update Social Security of new diagnosis or wait for reviews?
No, your award letter says in it, if anything changes, you should let them know. So if you want to be proactive, you can definitely share that information with them. I've got time for like 2 more questions and then we'll wrap up, put some links and resources in the chat.
Right. So this one's from Katie. Follow up. So if I applied last July, got denied, then reconsideration in progress. Once approved, will the raises that SSI give out be added to the amount that was on the SSA page before I applied?
I don't think so. I think the COLA is for disability recipients that are in pay status effective in January. It's a good question, but my hunch is what you see is, and what you see is what you get on your amount.
Right. I just want to say hi to Charles. He said, "Kamusta?"
Hey,
Kuya is
Charles.
here. Hey, Charles. All right. This was from Tremaine. Applying for SSDI for 7 months. I have a mechanical valve in my heart, metal plate in my head, suffer from seizures and heart disease. I've seen my doctor, seen the psych doctor. What could I do to make money?
Well, you could follow the information that we have here. We have taken the top ways in which members like May, who's in the house, are supplementing their income, and see if those methods would work for you. But learn, like, maybe you'll learn what doesn't work for you. What works for one person, you might not be able to do. So just say tuned in. And if you're a member at the Disability Digest and you haven't received, like, we have a website with all of the top ways in which people are supplementing their income. If you haven't received that, then you can just contact our support desk and they will get that to you.
This one's from RC. I am 61 and disabled, and my wife still works full time. She has a pretty good state and insurance on both of us. I have Medicare Parts A and B. Should I get a Part C plan?
Don't know. without knowing all the variables, it's difficult to say. You could pick up some extra benefits, dental, hearing, vision, maybe $130 a month and shopping credits. Those are possibilities, but we would need to find out. So every area is different, folks. Like the plans that I showed you, one was in Ohio, one was in Oregon. They could be better, they could not be so good in your area. It just depends. So there's a lot of different variables there. So Jam, for now, could you put in the chat a link for a membership, how people can
Done.
join us as a member, update us. And if you're a member here and you haven't received a benefit review request, you can just reply to any email that you received. And with benefit review requests, we do it for no charge. We review your benefits. There's 4 of us that are licensed insurance agents, and we review all of your options for you. We present them. If you choose to enroll in one that's better than the one that you have or a new one, then great. If you choose not to, or you want to enroll in your own, that's definitely your choice. But insurance companies pay us to do this work, so it doesn't cost you anything. But if you do enroll with us, then one of the advantages is you are then eligible for our benefit protection program, which when you have your continuing disability review, we guide you through it. We review the forms that you filled out. You have access to our legal team, all for no charge because you're a client and we want to keep you in pay status on your Social Security benefits, so you get your Medicare. So the insurance companies keep paying us. So that's how that works. So as we wrap up here, as always, I'm truly grateful for all you folks for attending. Jam, once again, for your brilliant work. If you haven't joined us or updated us as a member recently, this is the very best way in which we can help you, because it allows us to understand where you're at and provide you with a custom approach to get, keep, and maximize your disability benefits. So one last thing, I know some of you that I've spoke to enjoy coming out here. We appreciate you every week, but next week won't be here. So we'll be back in 2 weeks with a live. So that means that I hope everybody has a wonderful Thanksgiving holiday out there. So good. That's it. Thanks again, everybody. Make it a great day.
Thank you, guys. Bye.